The story you need to hear. It's Tom Seaman. He was diagnosed with cervical dystonia years ago. It changed his life, but it didn't let it define his story. I saw him in the hall today, and I was like, I can't believe I gotta follow these guys. Everybody's here got great stories. All I did was have a headache. That's what my doctors told me. A headache. Remember that? Anyone who's a migraine story? Oh, you have a headache. Thanks for nothing. Anyway, what this man has done in response is nothing short of remarkable. So let's welcome Tom to the stage.
Thank you very much, Jim, and thank you to the American Brain Foundation for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. In the summer of 2001, my whole life completely changed. I left the business world to pursue a master's degree. I noticed that my head was slightly tilting to the right without my control. I thought maybe I slept wrong or I was overly stressed, but it kept getting worse. I saw around 15 doctors and therapists, none of whom knew what was wrong or how to help. The involuntary muscle contractions in my neck strengthened and pain began to set in within a few months. My head was now pulled towards my right shoulder and locked in position at a 45-degree angle. It was terrifying. It was like something had taken over my body and was moving it without my permission. I researched the internet like crazy while in tears from the pain. This is back when we had dial-up. It was very slow. I finally discovered dystonia. Everything I read and pictures I saw described me exactly. I then went to a movement disorder neurologist who made the official diagnosis of cervical dystonia. For close to a year prior to this, it never occurred to me or any doctor I saw that it might be a neurological problem, so I never was sent to a neurologist. This is sadly very common for many people, and a great example of the need for education and awareness and research. By the time I received my diagnosis, my neck muscles felt like they were in a constant Charlie horse. I spent my entire day literally rolling around on the floor in pain. I had to drop out of graduate school, quit working, and move in with my parents. I could not function without help. The transition from an active, independent person to a sedentary, disabled person was devastating. I was only 30 years old in the prime of my life. My parents had just retired, so my dystonia changed their lives in ways that they never expected, having to now become caregivers rather than relaxed golfers and beachcombers. None of the traditional treatments for dystonia were of much help. In fact, some of them made me worse. I became depressed, severely depressed, homebound, had severe panic attacks, I drank alcohol to medicate the pain, and I had an awful diet. In 5 years, I went from an athletic, active 190 pounds to a morbidly obese 340 pounds. In December 2006, I caught a stomach virus. For 2 weeks, I was alone in bed all day with my thoughts. I knew when I recovered from this stomach virus, I had to make a decision. Do I go back to the unhealthy, destructive lifestyle I was living? Or do I try and take back control of my overall health and maybe perhaps improve my dystonia symptoms if possible? I knew this was a window of opportunity I had to jump through. So I chose to dedicate my entire life to being as healthy as possible. And within a year, I lost 150 pounds. I then found a more natural, movement-based therapy approach to managing my dystonia, and to this day, I have about a 75% improvement. My life now is better, as are my symptoms, but I am not cured. There is no cure for dystonia. I still have many problems with my neck and back that takes a lot of exhausting work and self-care every single day to manage the best I can. Some days I can't do much at all because of a flare-up, and some days I can do more. I never, ever know. Part of helping myself is helping others along the lonely path of chronic illness. So in addition to being a patient advocate, in 2012, I became certified as a professional life coach so I could work one-on-one directly with others who were dealing with chronic health conditions. But I felt a need to do more. So in 2015, I wrote my first book, Diagnosis Dystonia, Navigating the Journey. A few years later, I felt a pull to do even more to reach a broader audience, and I wrote my second book in 2021, Beyond Pain and Suffering, Adapting to Adversity and Life Challenges. I have also written hundreds of articles that have been published worldwide and spoken at symposiums in the US and Canada. Me, the guy who once lived on the floor, rolling around in writhing pain, who thought his life was over. But I am not someone who gives up, just like we can't give up our efforts to defeat brain disease, which is of course what brings us all here together tonight. Donations to the American Brain Foundation support innovative research initiatives that cut across the entire spectrum of brain diseases. There is a link between many brain diseases, so when there's a breakthrough in one, there is a breakthrough in another. So let's work really hard to raise lots of money for the American Brain Foundation tonight, but also all year long. Without your support, there will be no research. Without research, there will be no new treatments or possible cures for patients that not only impact them, but their loved ones as well, as it has mine. Thank you so much for inviting me to share my story, and so much for your support as well. The work you do means more to us than you will ever know, and we are so grateful, and we thank you.